What's the next video about?
We've just been writing away about Pixar movies, so I'm sure it'll be done soon. Oh, he's calling now. Let me put you on speakerphone.
Hey, Josh.
Oh, hey, man. How's it going?
So I was looking at my to-do list for the channel, and I forgot to do something.
Oh. Is it big?
Well, kind of. We may be a little bit behind schedule.
Joe, we were just getting on YouTube's good side. What happened? How far behind are we?
Roughly 2 years?
2 years? Do we get low-hand? How is that possible?
So the Pixar Dads video, I kind of pitched that a couple years back as part of the series on Pixar, and didn't really get around to it till now-ish.
Oh yeah. I don't remember that, but we did that series, right?
I'm not sure one video counts as a series.
Well, I'm not worried about it. We could just start over with a brand new video. We don't have to finish that series.
You must continue the series, Josh. You can't disappoint your audience with a reboot so soon.
Whoa, what was that?
Give the people what they want.
I think that she's been listening in somehow and figuring out that we're making jokes about her.
You need to do something different.
Lindsay Lohan?
I'm thinking more along the lines of portrayals of fatherhood in Pixar movies.
Is this YouTube telling me what to do again? I've got him on speakerphone.
The YouTube thing is real?
Yeah, it's real and irritating. Still might be Lindsay Lohan. Jury's out.
I am not Lindsay Lohan.
Well, that settles that.
I thought you were just going through a weird thing, and as your friend, I was happy to go with it.
Does that mean that you'll finish that AI-generated script where Geppetto talks about the birds and bees with Pinocchio? Papa?
No time for your very wrong ideas, Josh. According to YouTube Darth Vader, it's time for part 2 of the Pixar series.
In part 1 of this series, we talked about how Pixar always strives to make all ages entertainment through stories with universal themes about family or friends or being true to yourself. Pixar makes movies that resonate with audiences of any age. Coupled with smart writing and clever jokes, most Pixar movies actually feel more like they're written for adults first, while being entertaining for children second.
Have we ever met?
I would have remembered. Love your leg warmers.
Nice ass cut.
Come on, Ken.
Movies like Monsters University and Soul take on big, hefty questions, like what happens when your dreams don't work out the way you thought they would. Toy Story 3 and Inside Out are exploring ideas like the end of childhood in ways that will hit harder for an older audience. Unfortunately, there's a ton of entertainment that's made under the quote-unquote family umbrella that's really aimed at children and just tolerable for everybody else. It feels like the go-to approach is to just add a few jokes for adults and call it a day. Maybe one of the worst offenders of this is Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat, where a ton of maybe adult jokes are thrown in, most of which aren't funny, ultimately just leading to an uncomfortable experience when you're watching a bad kids movie with a lot of awkwardness.
Let's take a look under the hood. Where's my jack?
It's like Universal just wanted to copy what they did with Jim Carrey's Grinch by getting another famous comedian to do the exact same thing with a different Dr. Seuss book.
But think if it had succeeded, though. They could have kept things going, with Danny DeVito playing the Lorax.
Brilliant casting. Might have hurt his chances, though. He played the exact opposite of Lorax, and It's Always Sunny.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
Oh yeah, that did happen. But Pixar excels at telling stories for everybody in the room. And one way that they do this is by often skewing older for their characters. Having a character being an adult is somewhat common for all ages entertainment, but it's even more so for Pixar. Whether they're toys or cars or rats with culinary ambitions, most of the main characters in Pixar movies feel like they have more in common with the adults in the audience rather than the kids. In 2001, something a little unique happened. Starting with Monsters, Inc., Pixar made a seemingly unconnected series of movies where each one featured a parent as a main character, and the stories were focused on ideas around parenthood. Parents are often significant in all ages stories, but they're rarely the protagonists. Sometimes they even die within the first 5 minutes of the movie. I see you, Frozen.
Well, at least they have their parents. Their parents are dead.
Looking back at this era of Pixar, it's surprising that it happened 3 times in a row, with each film taking on a different aspect of parenting. So with all of that said, my name's Josh Taylor, this is Modern Mouse, and today we're talking about the unofficial trilogy of Pixar dads, which includes Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles.
It's empty. See? No monster in here. Well, now there is.
The other two are obvious, but do you really think that people see Monsters Incorporated as a movie about parents?
Oh, it's definitely about a young parent. People get that.
But is it a big enough idea in the story to make it part of this trilogy?
I may be biased, but to me, the main idea of Monsters, Inc. is about parenthood. Whenever I watch it, I see myself, honestly. Is it okay if I...
Yeah. Do your thing. I'm gonna go grab a snack.
Hey everyone, it's Joe here. If it's cool, I want to tell you about Monsters, Inc. The movie's pretty special to me. I have no exaggeration, seen it over 100 times. And you know what? It holds up every time. The thing is I have 2 kids, a little guy and a teenager.
I am Groot.
Uh-huh.
I'm Groot.
No, that's exactly what you just said. How is that even possible?
And Monsters, Inc. was a favorite for both of them. What's funny, looking back, is how it didn't click right away when I was watching. The first handful of times I watched the movie with my oldest, I just thought, it's a pretty great Pixar movie. After a while, though, I realized I was watching my own story. For anyone who's not seen the movie over 100 times, like I have, here's a quick summary. Mike and Sully work at the Monster Factory, where Sully is a scarer. Monsters in this world are just like us, with friends, families, and relationships, and they punch in for their 9 to 5s. But at Monsters Incorporated, their job is literally being the monster that hides in the closets of children. Because scaring children generates scream energy that runs the whole monster world. One day, Sully accidentally becomes the caretaker of a human child, which changes everything. In the monster world, their job is to scare children, but they are actually terrified of them. Just about all monsters believe that children are lethally toxic, which is not too far off from how a lot of people in their early 20s view having children. For people in college or just starting out their careers, pretty easy to see having a kid too young as kind of a social death sentence. If you're married, have a solid start to your career, and have a kid a little later in life, like maybe just your mid-20s, nothing but congratulations are coming your way. But if you're 20, single, and still working an entry-level job, having a child means your friends start to talk about you in the past tense.
Mike, this isn't Boo's door.
Boo? What's Boo?
That's what I decided to call her. Is there a problem?
Sully, you're not supposed to name it. Once you name it, you start getting attached to it. Now put that thing back where it came from, or so help me!
Don't get me wrong, as challenging as it was, having a kid young was truly one of the best things that ever happened to me. Both my kids bring me joy every day, and being a dad is one of my absolute favorite things. But becoming a dad? That's terrifying.
You're doing great, Joe. Keep it up.
I really liked the part about children being lethally toxic.
Throughout the course of the movie, as he learns how to take care of Boo, he eventually warms up to her. Little things she does start to bring a smile to his face, and he can't help himself but to play games with this manic little toddler before him. While his friend Mike is trying to be supportive, he is mostly trying to get things back to where they were. He wants to ditch the kid, go back to just hanging out and crushing it at work with his best friend. However, for Sully, everything was changing. One of my favorite scenes of the whole movie is where Sully is explaining his plan to go rescue Boo after she was captured. Mike is more upset by how much the arrival of this kid has affected everything in their lives, and starts listing off all of the things like the relationships and the major work milestones that they are now missing out on. Sully keeps working on his plan and says that none of that matters now.
I didn't mean for this to happen. But Boo's in trouble. I think there might be a way to save her.
It's in that scene that Sully goes from just being fond of the small child in his care to fully embrace being a parent. All the things that Mike is worried about do still matter. They are just not Sully's priorities anymore. I definitely felt that shift in my own life, where my values and how I spent my time changed. It wasn't until years later that I found out that the director, Pete Docter, actually set out to just tell a fun workplace story where Sully made a friend with a human child. But he was also a new parent during this production, which shifted the story. So Mike was eventually created to fill the friend role, and Boo got aged down to a toddler to better fit the new theme of parenthood. Learning this didn't change what the movie means to me, but it was pretty awesome to know that what I was seeing of myself in the movie was intentional. If I could recommend any movie to watch 100 times or more, it would be Monsters, Inc.
Joe, I should get out snack breaks all the time. This is amazing. I feel so revitalized. I'm ready to talk about fish.
What do you know about fish?
In the 5th grade, I had to build this habitat. And I got 2 goldfish, but both of them died within a week of each other. So, I know something or two about fish.
I don't think you do.
I'm with Joe on this one. You shouldn't be taking care of fish.
Honestly, I shouldn't be taking care of anything, but that's why I'm not a parent. So, I figured I would go to the aquarium and I would learn about how fish become parents.
Okay, that's weird. Guess that leads us in talking about Finding Nemo, though.
I know what that is. Oh, Sandy Plankton saw one. He said it was called, a butt. Wow, that's a pretty big...
2 years after Monsters Incorporated, Andrew Stanton, famous director of failed film John Carter, added the next chapter to this trilogy of Pixar dads with Finding Nemo. Nemo may be the title character, but it's just as much Nemo's dad Marlin's story. There's even an argument to be made that it's really all Marlin's story, or at least you have to say that the finding half of the title is Marlin. After a brutal attack on his family in what is an absolute downer of an opening scene, Marlin wakes up from being knocked unconscious to find that his partner and all of their eggs are gone besides one damaged little egg that grows to become Nemo. Fast forward a few years later, and Marlin's an incredibly overprotective parent for completely understandable reasons that we saw in the opening.
You're about to swim into open water.
No, I wasn't.
It's just a good thing I was here. If I hadn't shown up, I don't know.
He wasn't gonna go. Yeah, he was too afraid. No, I wasn't.
This does not concern you, kids. And you're lucky I don't tell your parents you were out there.
But Nemo is at that age where he wants to go out and explore more, get out from under his sheltered existence and see the world. And in fact, that's when I decided to head to the aquarium. Tension comes between Marlin and Nemo, with Marlin so concerned about Nemo's safety that he doesn't let his son experience anything at all. That leaves Nemo frustrated and embarrassed by his dad's overbearing nature. It all leads to the two becoming separated. The rest of the movie is about finding each other, literally and metaphorically. I mean, it's in the title of the movie. During their journeys back to one another, Nemo gains the experience and confidence to know what he's capable of, much like I was gaining the experience and knowledge to possibly take better care of fish.
It's fish over there. It's fish here.
Meanwhile, Marlin, for the first time in years, sees the experiences of the wider world, being forced to rely on strangers for help.
Oh my goodness!
Whoa, kill the motor, dude. Let us see what Squirt does flying solo.
He comes to see all of the things that he's been holding Nemo back from. And while there are some dangers in the world, there's also a lot of kind people and fish, turtles. And he comes to find that there's more to life than just their home in the anemone. You get what I'm saying. But intentional or not, Finding Nemo is a great follow-up thematically to Monsters, Inc. After the opening scene, the story skips past the part about becoming a parent and jumps right into the age where maybe Nemo isn't a teenager quite yet, but really he's starting to figure out who he is and he's wanting some more independence. He's definitely not the toddler that Boo is, and Marlin already enjoys being a parent. So his journey is more about learning to let go a little and give his kid the space to make mistakes, knowing that he'll more often than not be okay, which is not easy to do. The independence that children need to figure out some super important things about themselves and the world has to be unbelievably scary as a parent. And Finding Nemo highlights those worries and emotions that come with that stage of parenting perfectly. I had a similar analysis with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio in the last video I did, but Finding Nemo really highlights the emotions and worries around this stage of parenting perfectly.
How was your fish fact-finding? Did you learn anything helpful?
Yeah, I learned that fish and turtles are like the worst parents in the whole world. They basically leave their children to fend for themselves as soon as they hatch from their eggs.
Well, that thematically doesn't really work with Finding Nemo.
I know, but I did see some cool stuff at the aquarium. I even got to see penguins, Joe. I love penguins.
Please. I do like penguins.
Well, what happened with YouTube? Are they still around?
And I said something about seeing me later.
Watch out. I didn't believe you until today about YouTube. But if movies have taught me anything, it's not to trust things with booming robot voices.
Like supervillains.
Sure, I guess. Let's just call that the segue into The Incredibles.
Finishing out this trilogy is Brad Bird's The Incredibles. Again, you might be familiar with the story, but for those who aren't, imagine a world of superheroes. Less like the modern MCU and a little more like 60s Silver Age comics, crossed with a fun James Bond vibe. If it helps you picture it, the villain is both a cape-wearing failed former sidekick and a tech billionaire with a volcano base. It takes place after the heroes fell from public favor and were forced into hiding. So Mr. Credible and Elastigirl end up retiring from superheroing, move to the suburbs, and they have 3 children who are not allowed to use their superpowers. It's kind of like The Watchmen, but less dark.
Do it!
After years of hiding and trying to be normal, Mr. Incredible is stuck in a job that he hates, and secretly still goes out on patrol as a hero when he's not reminiscing about his glory days. We talked about how Pixar movies have themes that are more geared towards adults, and a midlife crisis that drives the story forward is a great example of that. From there, Mr. Incredible is offered a lot of money to do secret superhero work, which he even keeps his wife in the dark about. With Mr. Incredible getting to relive his days of youthful adventure, having the money to buy nice things like a new sports car, he definitely completes the checklist of midlife crisis stereotypical behavior. Later, after his adventure puts his family in danger, what he really learns is to appreciate what he has in front of him, and starts putting his family first again. The Incredibles finishes out this trilogy amazingly well. It's the 3rd movie in a row with a dad as the main lead, and it focuses on an even later stage of parenting. Not everyone who has children is going to have this selfish phase where they make up excuses to go fistfight robots on a volcano for money. Only the coolest parents do that. Joking aside though, I can see how spending a majority of your time focusing on your children makes you lose a bit of your identity along the way. Before kids, you're just you, and you describe yourself by your own interests and accomplishments. After kids though, a lot of parents identify themselves through being a parent, and rather than it being a part of their identity, it can feel like their entire identity, which is why the superhero spy idea fits so well for The Incredibles. In this movie, the whole secret identity thing is reversed. Instead of being a superhero who's hiding who they really are in the world, Mr. Incredible is a suburban father who has to hide who he was before he had kids to get by in the world he's living in currently. Pixar has gone on to have more stories about parents, and they've continued crafting movies with themes that are aimed at adults. Onward is about relationships 2 kids have with their father, and Turning Red is a coming-of-age story that depicts a mother and daughter relationship. Nearly 2 decades since the ending of this unofficial trilogy, these 3 films still feel unique. They build off of each other and are almost in conversation with one another in ways that we don't see outside of planned sequels. I don't know what the process is at Pixar from film to film, but I doubt that they had a plan where these 3 films complemented each other so well. And if this truly was an accident, these storytellers beautifully created a secret trilogy unknowingly. And it makes it even more special to know that many of the people working at Pixar at that time were at different stages of parenting as well. It just makes it all that much more special.
Okay, well, now we've finally finished the second in the Pixar series.
Yeah, great work. Now I know everything I need to know about being a parent, like fighting robots, or scaring kids, or befriending sea turtles and Ellen DeGeneres. I think I'm ready to adopt a kid now.
You are my friend, and I support you. Please don't do that. Maybe you should stick with something you know more about, like Muppet videos.
I have been thinking about making a video about Rizzo the Rat and his relationship with Gonzo.
Sure, you can do that. Whatever makes you not adopt a child.
Someone's here. I'll talk to you later.
What?